Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone to our International Conference of Sustainable Engineering and Digital Innovation Conference podcast series. Today in this podcast, we will discuss an interesting topic, which is actually regarding the sustainable energy and how exactly we can deal with that with improvement of technology. Let's welcome our guest, Professor Klaus Regenauer. He's from Kyirston University's Professor in Engineering and Resources in the University, Australia. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for your speech today in our conference. It was so interesting topic to discuss with this demanding and research demanding these days. As already you started communicating the people and over the conference, how is your experience so far?
Oh, I've had a very, very nice experience. I was very welcome here in Oman. I find the people are really welcoming, and the climate, actually, the not only the climate outside, but the personal climate is really very, very productive, I think. This is the ingredient that you need for driving a positive future. So it's a really safe, you feel very safe in Oman. You feel cared for, and I would say I congratulate you on the way that you actually also keep your traditions. I mean, this is very, very
Thank
well
you
done.
so much. We keep proud all the time for our cultures, that we have our cultures, and we'll keep that all the time, inshallah. Before we dive into the topic today, let's take our audience a little bit into a moments of Professor Klaus.
A moment, you mean like a...
Career moments,
career
milestones.
moments. Okay. Yes, I was actually, I started my undergrad in Germany, in the cold north of Germany, and I did study geophysics in there for undergrad, and because it was so cold up there, the family, I was having a 1-year-old child there, decided to go to New Zealand. So we had an offer for a PhD in New Zealand in the Geothermal Institute, and I joined New Zealand then. That was a fabulous experience for us to actually, the family loved it there. But as a researcher, you are actually a product of the university that you go to, and you stop learning new things after, say, 3 or 4 years. So I kept getting offers from other universities, so I stepped every 3rd or 4th year to another university. I went back to Germany, then I went to US, then I went to Switzerland for ETH Zurich, and then I went back to New Zealand, and finally ended up in Australia in 2006, where the family felt at home, because we were looking for a place to live, a really nice, agreeable place, and that was actually where we finally found our place in...
Interesting career path.
Yes.
Moving towards looking into different research areas, environments.
Yes.
And actually this is an interesting part, moving between different environments and finding how these environments dealing with the same subject but in different ways.
In different ways, and there is always a new perspective, and you always, when you go to a new place, you start at the bottom. You are a new person, you are actually at the bottom of the ranks, so you have to work your way up. And once you're in the way up, once you're actually, after 3 years, you're actually at the eye level with everybody else. But then people see you as a threat if you're talented. Yeah. And then you start getting into politics. That was the main reason why I left, because I felt knives in the back, because I was dangerous to other people. And it's actually both the learning and the social interactions are really, really interesting phenomenon. And that's basically, was tough on the family. Because my son had to go to new schools every 4 years. But it was actually, overall, I'm a lot more culturally richer. I'm more aware of different cultures. and I try to immerse myself in the local culture.
And this is what's making you stronger than before, because you move different cultures,
Yes.
so you are able to accommodate yourself in these different cultures. And as you stated, if the others start feeling dangerous, so you are in correct path of success.
Yes.
So wishing you all the best into that.
Thank you.
Professor, let's start dive into the sustainable engineering. This is a topic has been discussed since decades. Now, what is the difference in this discussion from the past and today?
Okay, so I chose to go to New Zealand because they already had geothermal energy, and they had a UNESCO-funded, a United Nations-funded training course in geothermal. And I was later on even funded by Mitsubishi Fellowship to actually teach in this course. So they were trying to train people from underprivileged countries like Indonesia, Philippines, and Africa in geothermal energy. And these countries have risen up to the top now. So Indonesia is now second largest geothermal energy producer. So this was a successful path. But it's only one path, and it's only in conventional geothermal that that was actually possible. And because it is easy to do it in geothermal, in volcanic areas to actually get geothermal energy. But how about Oman? There is no volcano here, but there is geothermal energy. So how can we actually make this breakthrough that is actually a very clean energy form for the future? How can we make it happen, for instance, in Oman? And I think the real way forward there is geothermal has a huge capital investment when you actually start the drilling.
Yes.
So like $50 million, no problem to get the wells down. So 2 wells, you have to do 2 wells. If you want to go down 3 kilometers, that's what you have to do. And the risk is very high.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have to de-risk. And I think what changes now with the digital revolution is that we can de-risk it. We can actually find, so over the last 10 years, we have fiber optics much forward, the new technologies with fiber optics. We can have sensors everywhere, can have sensors now in the well. So we can actually, with these, while we drill, we can actually measure the signal, and we can see where the good areas are. And we can send the wells into these good areas. And not only send them into these, we can keep them in the good areas, because the real problem for geothermal in non-volcanic areas is to get permeability, to actually have flow. So if you stay in the permeable areas, if you can direct it in the permeable areas, you can actually harvest the necessary flow rates, because the energy content is 6 times less than oil and gas, so you need 6 times higher flow rates. So we can't just use oil and gas technology, we have to pump more fluids. And that's actually possible now thanks to the digital revolution, thanks to the fiber optics invention, thanks to the very fast co-processing. And
IoT, where actually sensors now starting detecting and bringing all data from the ground to the reality dashboards that's over there. So it's enhancing decision making.
It's enhancing decision making, it's taking away. And there is one step further that we are working on right now. So this is basically standard geophysics. That's basically coming back to my original route that was trained in as an undergrad as a geophysicist. But the next step, and that's what I've done, is over the last, I would say, 5 years, I've developed a new theory that allows us to put a sort of a new world model where electrical, chemical, hydrological, mechanical, thermal processes are all put together in a big mathematical concept, and we can use physics. Now we can use that to do physics-informed neural networks to actually predict the behavior. What is, if we inject now CO2 into this reservoir, what will happen, okay? It will enhance the permeability because there will be chemical reactions, okay?
So the production rate has been increased.
Yes. So that's, we're designing now new technologies to enhance because that's the biggest hurdle for these energy extraction, for conventional and for getting rid of CO2 in underground. we haven't got the permeabilities. So we need to generate these permeabilities in a safe manner without actually generating earthquakes. Okay, so that's where the physics-informed neural networks will allow us to do the next leap. So I think we are at the crossroads right now, where we have sufficient numerical power. When I did my calculations in 1998, we were calculating for a whole year. Forward simulation for one whole year, we're calculating a complex multi-physics prospect. Now with a new development in the theory, we can reduce it to a whole day. So we can actually calculate the same process that we took for...
Saving time, efforts, and reducing the risk.
That's right.
In one shot.
Yes.
Because of the technology. Balancing is all the time challenging. So balancing sustainable energy with the hydrocarbon is also challenging. So can you tell us about the challenges?
Okay, the challenges are really moving from an existing hydrocarbon in energy supply to the new energy supply. So we do not know, so hydrogen, for instance, is now touted as the next generation fuel. And for hydrogen, we need to, we can generate it with electrolyzer from renewable energy, no problem. But the technology is there, it's stable. We might have to, Envision, the company in China, has developed new AI to stabilize the electricity supply to the electrolyzers, because the problem is you can't shut down the electrolyzers.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's solved. That problem is now solved. Okay. So they actually can produce the renewable energy out of with good technology, the AI technology. But what's happened in the next step? What do you do with the hydrogen? We have a huge amount of hydrogen. We can't store it. I mean, right now, Envision wants to store it in above ground tanks, but that's really, hydrogen is so volatile. You have to compress it to 700 bar, and these tanks are under. 300 bar is a bullet that strikes a wall. So 700 bar is double the normal pressure of a bullet. So these are new tanks that are being designed with carbon fiber and so on. So level 4 tanks. This is all possible. It's not at large volume possible. So the idea is to pump it underground into reservoirs, but we haven't done the solution. So I think the oil and gas industry is stepping back from the hydrogen, because they are clearly the one that actually are the energy providers that invest into 30 years in the future.
Yeah.
But they don't know how to deal with that problem. Okay, the storage, large-scale storage problem. Now, there is a possibility as an intermediate step. Oil and gas industry produces pure CO2 in the LNG trains.
Yeah.
So, if you do direct air capture, you'll use a lot of energy to generate this pure CO2. What happens at present, in Australia, we're trying to inject it back into the reservoir. Not very successful, so for various reasons. But the possibility is now to use that CO2 together with a renewable hydrogen and create synthetic fuel. So there's a stepping stone there. The oil and gas industry could actually team up with a renewable energy and sell their valuable product of the CO2, because it's valuable. CO2 is a valuable commodity. When you vent it up, actually it's a climate gas. But when you use it, it's a really good sustainable aviation fuel. So you could actually sell that then as a carbon neutral aviation fuel to the airlines and get rid of all the classical kerosene fuels. So this is that's intermediate step before we go to the full scale.
And there is a huge scope for R&D into this, to enhancing this and solving the problem of the storage as well when it's coming over there. How Oman can take lessons from the further countries who are already further stepped into the sustainable energy?
So Oman can take lessons in, first of all, and I'm doing this right now with my students from other countries where new developing energies are formed, So I have, for instance, a PhD student from Indonesia. I'm training him up. I'm scaling him up. He's actually doing this geothermal battery solution, and he's interested in politics. So he would like to become a political leader in Indonesia when he comes back.
Yeah.
So I'm only training PhD students, foreign PhD students, if they actually guarantee me that they want to go back to their respective countries to take the knowledge that they've gained and then leapfrog the errors that we've made in our country already and become the next generation. I think that's the recipe that I would suggest for Oman. Send your talented people overseas, send them to people you can trust, where they can learn a lot, and they need to either go back to university or, as my candidate there, PhD candidate, go into politics and change the well-being of the country.
So what is the importance of educating people into the sustainable energy and alternative energy?
Oh, this is the linchpin of the whole problem, because if you don't educate the people, people will always do the same mistakes. And if you don't educate them that there are new solutions, they will repeat boilerplate technology that is existing. And that is completely wrong. It's absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
So I have an example, like when I built the underground water cooling for the supercomputer, I had a huge fight with the engineering company over my solution. I said, look, we can pump cold water out of the ground and put it through a heat exchanger to cool your chips. And they didn't want to do it. They said, no, we want to use evaporative cooling. I said, your evaporative cooling doesn't work on these hot days, so you have to shut down the supercomputer. I showed them the simulation. No, your system won't work because they're not. It's something new.
Yeah.
People will do. Even a very prestigious company in Australia, very good air conditioning, heating, ventilation, air conditioning company, doesn't want to do these things because they're not educated. So I educated them. The system is running for more than 10 years now, very successfully without failure. So now suddenly they agree that this is a good solution. So that's
after this time,
10 years after.
10 years to convince them how to do that.
Yes.
During your keynote speaker today, you mentioned a lot of case studies.
Yes.
Why do you think it's really important to showcase these studies?
Oh yes, that's a very valid, very important point. Because people want to see things working. They don't trust theoreticians. They don't trust just the theory. They want to kick the tires, so to speak. And that's what I learned very, very early on in my career. That's why I actually did stuff that was totally like in the Geothermal Center of Excellence that I led as a director. I did build devices that I knew would work. And I trained a PhD student. We built a prototype of a patent that I have on desalination, multi-effect distillation, where we use heat. The idea there was to use heat over and over again, so the waste heat from one process is used into the next, because we can use different temperatures for different processes. And in the end of the day, after the last heat is being used, the 30 degrees is still good for barramundi farming, because the barramundi wants round about that temperature. So that waste heat is still used in a fish farming environment, so you use all the amount of heat. So I trained him, and he built the device. And now, again, after a couple of years, this thing, after it showcased that it works, it produced 40% more water, much smaller engine than the classical multi-effect distillation engine. Now the investors are coming.
Yeah.
Now they're actually doing this. Now we have a patent that's only valid in the US, but this is actually going to be built.
Thank you so much, Prof. I can find from your speech that the research and the renewable energy and sustainable energy, it's actually taking long time. So what is your advice to the junior researcher in this field, in the particular field?
Okay.
It's taking longer time to find the result.
Yes. So for my junior researchers, my advice is to be entrepreneurial. So it'll take a long time, But there will be, so after we've trained them in the new technologies, they can be the unicorn company that actually drives this new innovation. So there will be, some companies will fail, others will be successful. And I think that's, again, in our digital world now, this information spreads very quickly. So we can actually, don't be afraid of failure. So you try it out, it works, it's a small investment, but they come out of university, they take their entrepreneurial spirit, they take the energy, they take the motion out into the field. And that's what I'm doing right now as well with my PhD students. I try to actually encourage them to become, because academia is in a crisis right now. We have too many academics at the moment because it was used as a business to teach people from overseas, at least in Australia. And now the government actually shuts down the influx of foreign students, and so universities are getting financial trouble. But the students that come out, they can't be academics, but they can still be entrepreneurs. So they have to choose their liking. So they don't. I mean, a lot of people stay at university because they don't know what to do. No, you have to take it out, and you have to take your research out into the field. I think that's
and they need to know their real path.
Yeah.
They need to try multi things till
Yeah.
they find their real path
That's
and research. And as well as today, we cannot restrict in certain topic. We need to involve different disciplines into the research. So the last thing that I would like to ask you, can we have little bit of statements about GSET and the university collaborations?
Okay, so I had very nice discussions with our colleagues from GSET here. One colleague who's actually working on absorption chillers, and that's a technology, for instance. It's a good example where there is existing technology. It's already used in large-scale operations. In Munich airport, they use absorption chiller with trigeneration, so with heat from a gas flame, and they use the heat they use it to cool down, the waste heat is used to cool down the airport. And in Palmyra, Jumeirah trunk in Saudi Arabia, in Dubai, is actually basically used to cool the entire area there. So these systems are already in place. But if you want to couple them with geothermal, for instance, people want to see them running. Because you could use, instead of burning gas, you could actually replace the whole thing with geothermal. Yeah. So there is a possibility to really get very quick results with existing technology and having a demonstration to show how it actually works. And that's for instance, is a good entrepreneurial startup for people who are actually coming out. Because there are already existing technologies, but the demonstration is lacking. And if the demonstration is lacking, then nobody would buy it. So this is how you change the technology. So I will work with that researcher there to basically make sure that all the air conditioning that is being done is replaced by absorption chillers. Because what we are actually doing right now, like Abu Dhabi, is having these absorption chillers, which are very loud, by the way. They're making a lot of noise. They actually throw a lot of hot air outside. Okay, 70 degrees. So it's 70 degrees in the city where the air conditioners run. Why don't you throw that heat underground? The same way I cool in the aquifer. The same way I cool so these things are
so all the time there is a scope all for adoptions and try it in multi places.
So these are solutions that I can already share with GSET. And these are existing solutions. They're sort of no-brainer solution, but where we are lacking a demonstration. So once there's a demonstration, in Medina, for instance, the same thing. Medina is having a compressed chiller, and these make a huge noise. So you don't want to have a noise in the mosque. So what happens is they built that thing outside. I had a student, my own student, in Australia to do these calculations. And how much is, there's a pipeline going with chilled water. Each meter costs $1,000 of that pipeline. Yeah. You build this absorption chiller right on site. It's quiet, it's whisper quiet, no mechanical part. It's much better solution.
So resharing the research and adopt it in different
That's right.
cultures. Thank you so much, Professor Klaus, for your informative podcast that we have a lot of discussions over there. I think that this discussion can go further and further. Looking forward to meeting you next time, inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching us. As we said all the time in the ending of each podcast, these podcasts, we are not predicting the futures, but we are preparing for it. Thank you so much.